Hi, I'm Dave Pitcher, and this is an assembly tutorial video for the RotoPrism 2 puzzle, available for sale from my Shapeways shop, Pitcher Puzzles. The puzzle consists of these parts from Shapeways: one core, 3 axles, 9 inner edges, 3 each 2 types of corner pieces, 3 curved face pieces, and 2 flat face pieces. You'll also need 3 M3 by 12 screws, 12 millimeter that is, and 3 springs. These are available from other sources, and a Phillips head screwdriver. The first step in the assembly of the puzzle is to take screw and spring sets and attach the axle pieces to the core with these screw and spring sets. The tricky part of this is that the screw and spring sets actually go through the core from the opposite side, so they end up inside the core. The axles go onto these hubs. So through the core, and there's a large hole so that the screw and spring can pass through, and the screwdriver, and then just snug it up so that the axle turns fairly easily. Repeat the process for the other 3 axles. If the screw falls off of the screwdriver, just start again. It's a little bit tricky sometimes because the screws do end up inside the core, but still relatively easy to assemble. And the last screw, you'll notice the hole is partially blocked by the previous 2 axles, but there's still plenty of room to get the screw through and into the remaining axle. And once you're done, you can set the screwdriver aside, you won't need it again, and you should have 3 axles that spin fairly easily on the core. Next we'll assemble the inner edge pieces, and we'll pop those in between 2 axles, and we'll do those in sets. First set, we'll rotate in place so that the edges end up pointing one to each pole of the core. And then we'll do 2 more sets like that. Pop them in place between 2 axles. You actually need to pull the axles apart slightly to pop them in. And then rotate the axle so that they point to the poles of the core. And the third set, oops, did that one backwards. Now I've got 6 of the inner edges in place, and they all point to the 2 poles of the core. Next, I'm going to put the remaining inner edges in. Put the first one in any orientation, doesn't really matter for the first one. But the other 2 you want to put in so that they match the orientation of the first one that you inserted. So this one is pointing in this direction, so the others want to point in the same direction. And they simply snap into place like all the previous ones have. Once you've done that, your core is fully assembled, and you may want to test turn the core a few times to make sure everything is turning smoothly. It will be a bit tight at this point because the core pieces are actually designed to be tight because there are gaps inside this puzzle, because if it's deeper than origin nature, in order to prevent the puzzle from being too rickety when the assembly is finished, the core is very tight. So it will be a bit tough to break in, and will require a bit of break-in. But once it's broken in, it should turn relatively smoothly, but still be nice and snug. Next, we're going to put in the corner pieces. You can see there's a triangular foot on each corner, and that corresponds to the triangular gaps left in the core. You want to put the corner pieces in so that the flat surface, large flat surface on the corner, is facing the same direction as the pole. So this corner that would be the wrong side for this corner. It's going to go in over here, and I just pushed some of the pieces apart a little bit, and that drops right into place, and then I push the pieces back around the foot of the corner, and that's one corner in place. And I just go around the puzzle, dropping the remaining corners in place. As you go, it'll get a little bit harder to push the pieces apart, losing room, but it should still be fairly easy to push the pieces enough to create a gap for the corners to drop into. Flip the puzzle over and continue assembling corners so that the flat surface, large flat surface, faces the opposite pole. The last two get a little bit harder than the others because there's less and less room now that the gaps around the core are almost completely filled up. But it should still be fairly easy to get even the last one in place. It may require a little bit of wiggling. And once you've done that, the puzzle looks like so. As you can see, nearly complete, just missing the 5 face pieces. The easiest way to get these in is to rotate any axis 90 degrees, and this puts 2 of the gaps in alignment with each other, giving you a bit more room to work with. And I like to put in the curved face pieces first, just making sure that the curves match the curves on the corners, and just put the put one point in first and get it under the corner feet that are holding these in. And this is going to take a bit of wiggling, but it should snap into place fairly easily. Turn that back, turn another, oops, not that one, turn another edge to get 2 more face gaps aligned, just to make it easier, and push the remaining, or the next face piece into place. Again, it's going to take a bit of wiggling and a bit more wiggling and pushing with each one that you put in. These things get tighter as you go. And particularly before the puzzle is fully broken in, it's going to be a bit tight. Again, it's designed intentionally to be a little bit tight at first, and this prevents it from being very loose feeling and rickety feeling when it's finished. There we go. And then last are the 2 flat face pieces, and they snap in the same way, only you have now less and less room to work with, so it takes a bit more pushing and wiggling to get these into place, but they will go. Here's the last one, and that's the completed puzzle. Now it's ready for breaking in, lubing, stickering, and playing with. I hope you enjoyed the puzzle. Thank you for watching.